Hello, my friends. How are you? Hiker Dave and E here. I have something I must share with you guys. I was debating on whether to share it right now or wait till tomorrow, making a whole video out of the whole thing. I just want to share it right now. Something very interesting has transpired in my marble experiment that I've been doing out here in my research area near my house. This has been going on since I had to look back into my logbooks, and since 11/19/19. So since the end of 2019, I started this marble experiment up here in New Hampshire near my home. And marbles often go missing, but that's it. I had one occasion where marbles went missing in the small teepee that I was leaving them in, and one of them came back. So, but the issue I have with that is that possibly I didn't see it. So maybe it was there, I didn't see it. I came back and looked again a week later, and the marble was there. And that's kind of what I chalked that up to, because marbles have never changed their orientation. They've never changed the way I put them down. Either they're gone or they're not. And I had another area that I would leave marbles at, which was a big boulder that was 100 feet away from the small teepee where all the marbles always went missing. They would never last more than like a week. I would leave 3 marbles, they would just disappear. I kind of would chalk it up to small woodland creatures, ravens, squirrels, things like this, right? And the other marbles on this huge boulder that I would leave would, at one point I left 3 marbles out there, and I used a triangle of sticks. That was my kind of thing that I used to kind of like a signature of my own. I would put a triangle of sticks down, and then I'd put the marbles in the triangle. Some of that was because I didn't want them to roll off of the rock. Even though the plateau of the boulder was fairly flat, I wanted to put a boundary around it, and I kind of wanted to make that triangle design. It means me, right? I mean, I've been out there so much with these Sasquatch, which I believe that are living out there or coming through this area, where there's 5 structures, and then just recently, a couple months ago, me and my son and my nephew found a 6th teepee structure out there that just kind of popped up. So about 3 weeks ago, I decided to try something a little bit different. I used larger marbles because I thought maybe perhaps if ravens or woodland creatures are taking these marbles, maybe if I use bigger marbles, they won't be able to so readily just, fly away with them if it's, say, a woodland creature. So I put 1 marble on the outside of the small teepee. I went over to a boulder that recently had a birch log leaning up against the boulder. I'll show it to you here. So the original boulder that I was using to place the 3 marbles in the square, in the triangle, was a boulder off to the side of that one that I just showed you. But when this showed up, that birch log with these glassy smooth stones from, I believe, from the river that runs right there, I said, well, maybe I will use that boulder for this, maybe a different marble experiment. Even though I said I'm done with the marbles, I lied. I couldn't help it. I had to keep trying something. So something interesting happened. I put these marbles in a triangle of sticks, and I'm going to show you what it looked like when I left it about 3 weeks ago, or as a matter of fact, it was the last time I took a photo of it was 3 weeks ago, and I'll show it to you here. So I left them, 4 of them, in that triangle of small twigs. For dual purpose, I wanted it to be Hiker Dave's triangle. That's honestly what I was trying to put across. That they got to know me out there. I've been out there for a couple of years now, consistently, and so I put the larger marbles, 4 of them, in the triangle. And I was checking on these things all the time. Nothing ever happened. So I waited. I said, I'm not going to go out there. I'm going to stop. I'm going to give it some time, let them sit out there without them seeing me out there walking around, looking at all their structures that they build, because they're absolutely beautiful. The structures that are out there are awesome. But I waited 3 weeks. Today, I went out there and I said, let me just give it a little peek, a little look-see. And I want to see what, if anything, has changed. I completely expected nothing to change, and this is what I found. So you can imagine my surprise. It's been over a year and a half since I started this marble thing out there. And yes, they disappear. Some marbles disappear. But on that boulder, this newer boulder that I'm using, nothing ever seems really to happen. And it just seems futile, like that I keep putting these marbles out there and nothing really ever happens to them. And I said, okay, I'm gonna use larger marbles, like I said, and I cannot believe that one is missing, and then the other 3 are placed outside of my little triangle design. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is. And guys, you know what? I would never deceive anybody. I never have on my channel. It doesn't make any sense. I would have done it a long time ago, is kind of how, because I thought, what am I going to say on my channel about this? Like, oh, look, marbles got moved. Well, for me, I don't care what anybody else thinks, but I want to share it. I think it's a big step, in my opinion. Especially where I stopped going out there for a while, in that when I returned, they weren't gone. They were actually moved and put in a different spot and then pushed down in the moss like I had done. When I put those 4 marbles in that triangle piece, that little triangle stick design, I pushed them down. There's like really thick moss on the boulder. And when I went out there this afternoon, I found them pushed right down into the moss with 1 missing. And I just was, I'm very excited about that, because that kind of changes the game for me out there. I've never had an interaction like that. Me and my son and my nephew have been out there and had whistles at us and stuff like that. But this is the first time that I've had something manipulated in an obvious way that I think they knew I was going to come back there and see that. And I don't know. I'm excited about it. And I think that it's a huge step to, I don't know what. I don't know what it's a step towards. I just know that it feels to me, I almost feel accepted a little bit. I don't know why I feel that way. I thank them. I stood out there saying, thank you. It's about time. It's been a year and 7 months since I left my first marbles out there, and it took that long. I know some went missing and all that, blah, blah, blah. It's the first time that they were moved and put in a different, put differently than I put them. And then 1 was gone. I just find that very interesting. I mean, all this stuff's running through my head. Does that mean that there's 3 of them living out there, or 3 of them that use this as a corridor, a travel corridor? I don't know. I had to share it with you guys. I thought it was really interesting. I know that I said I'm going to stop my marble experiment. I completely lied to myself, because I was fed up with it. When they just go missing and they're gone, I don't know what to say about that. Like, anything could have done that. Could someone have gone out there and found the marbles and moved them? Absolutely. I have to make that clear. My opinion, my theory is that perhaps Sasquatch has reached out a little, just a tiny, tiny little scooch or a skosh, and thought maybe I'm accepted enough a little bit to have some interaction. Thank you guys so much for clicking. I really appreciate it, and I'll definitely see you on the next one.